Well, I don't know how long this is going to last because there's some frickin' rain coming. I got a charge on the old phone, so I'm going to get some patient people's voices heard while I can. It's titled Sasquatch Encounter Number 3. Hi Steve, hope all is well. Things are pretty quiet for a while around the property. Sort of back to normal after losing the hogs. Around this time, my mom and stepdad want me to come live with them. I wasn't out there long. One night, I was woken up by something. I looked up from bed and seen a set of huge red eyes staring down at me. I ran into my parents' room and dove into their bed. It scared me to death. I tried to stay there for a few more days, but eventually I called my pop, and him and Grandma came and got me. It wasn't long after this, my grandpap got sick and ended up in the hospital. He wanted me to come home, and as he told the doctor, he said that if he was going to die, he wanted to die on his property. My pap passed away several hours after he came home from the hospital, July 7th, 1979. It changed me forever. I lost the best friend I ever had. It was then that I started to fish and hunt by myself. At 10 years old, up by myself, before daylight, walking the stream bank or in the woods. It was then that I started to notice things happening. For the most part, I wasn't scared. There were exceptions when I would be overcome by the dreadful feeling, but had no idea why. Would hear trees and limbs being broken, but chalked it up to dead, rotten trees falling by themselves. Rocks being thrown into the creek that I blamed on someone being mad that a kid was in the fishing hole, but I had no idea what was going on. But I also think, looking back, that these beings had gotten used to seeing me out there by myself. I believe that they knew something had happened to my pap. And I also believe they knew when I had a gun or when I had my fishing rod. All this activity continued to happen well into my teenage years. My next door neighbor was the sweetest lady I ever knew. Her kids and I are like family and friends till this day. She went to pick raspberries one morning and came running home. She told her sons and me that she had seen a kangaroo. We live in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia at an hour and 20 minutes from Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, Maryland. The only thing that it could have been was a deer on its hind legs. This lady actually hunted, and between us boys and her husband, we killed enough deer that she knew what a deer was and looked like. Things got quiet for a while, but soon enough things got interesting again. I'll send another email soon. Once again, Steve, thank you for providing some place to share experiences. Brad Arvin. Brad, thanks for the email, man. And you know what? We had a man email us from Texas. I think it was a country singer. And he had his 2 children with him. I don't think he had the proper footwear. And they were driving down the county road, I think, and a kangaroo-like thing went right across the road in front of him. Basically oblivious to them in the vehicle. And but he couldn't get a picture of it. But I recall that triggered the memory of that email sent in to us. And I think we had a few other people in the United States email us that they seen a kangaroo-like thing where it shouldn't have been. How weird is that? And I guess who knows, some exotics, those exotic places where they keep exotic pets. And some people get those pets and let them go, dump them off the side of a logging road or whatever, who knows. Interesting though. Sorry about your grandfather. And I'll guarantee you, I know for a fact they know what a rifle or a fishing rod is, for sure. They know what firearms are. Yes, they do. What else do we got here? All right, what do we got? Hope it's gonna. All right. Hey, Steve, Derek again. Here, hope all is well. It seems that us in the know are being attacked more than ever. We must be getting close to something. I spent my childhood hunting raccoons, bears, coyote with dogs. I've been through the woods at night alone many times. I've seen everything even big cat and wolves when they're not supposed to be in the area. I heard fisher cat, badger, loons, everything. Even found a baby bear in a changing room by a swim spot. We thought someone left a baby in there, but never heard this before. My son and I were camping by the new wood forest of Wisconsin, huge forest, and I chased dogs through it all. We were going to sleep when we heard a huge rock smash into the other rocks in the shallow water, then a howl with whoops after it. We spent the nights playing with the owls, had a bear come into our sight, and never were afraid, but that scared the shit out of us both. We were alone without a vehicle, or we would have left. We checked out where the sound came from in Camp 8 Lake, and the shoreline was tramped down. It came out of the swamp, trampled down all the grass, but left no tracks. A coon would have left tracks. How something could pack down that much grass and not leave a track puzzles me. That night I became a knower, not a believer. There was nothing that could have made that powerful of a sound. I didn't bother telling anyone. We have the woods covered with cameras, sand traps, by bait, and been through the area. If it lives out there, we would know about it. I thought at least. No one would believe me, so I kept it to myself. It feels good to get it out there. Thanks for making a safe spot to get this off our chest. You're a great man. Derek Waskowitz. Okay, thanks, Derek. Here's another one. I must have Googled up your, I must have did a search in your name, because here's the other email, another one on the bottom of that one. So let's get into it. Hello, I've been meaning to share and have sent a message on Facebook. I don't get those. I finally got the address right for the email, so I'll tell it again. Not really Bigfoot, but part of the mysteries of nature. There was a power line cut through northern Wisconsin where there was a strange light called Paulding Light. Many videos on it for everyone to check out themselves to see the evidence themselves. It's close to land and lakes WI in the upper peninsula of Michigan. Some friends and I were at the casino close by and figured we'd check it out. Tana, JJ, and I had always adventures in the woods. We encountered all kinds of freaky things, but were fearless together. We drove down the dead-end road where it was just getting dark. There were a half dozen cars full of people waiting on the light. I had a few beers, and we all were far from being intoxicated. As soon as the sun was down, the light appeared on the top of the hill a half a mile away. There is the straight power line cut down the hill up the other. No swamp in between, just a nice clear cut. We were talking to everyone about the possibilities of its origin, and I thought it was reflections since it stayed on top of the hill. No sooner I said that, and it proved me wrong by coming closer and traveled below the top of the hill. Us three decided to go closer and see what happened. About 50 yards down the hill, just out of sight of all the others, but we could hear each other, the light disappeared. We were playing with it, and it got down to a line. Anyone cross it and went out, step back and back on. So alright, that's how it reads. About 30 minutes at that spot, we all three needed another beer, so Tana and JJ went back, and I stayed alone. I had a feeling like I could communicate with it, and it didn't like us there. Me having the liquid courage in me, I started talking crap to get any response. Nothing was happening until I had to piss. I was asking if it liked me pissing on its land, and how that's what I thought about its precious land. Slowly, fireflies started to come out, hovering a foot off the ground until there got to be hundreds. And I was frozen with dread, knowing I had went too far. As they closed in on me to where I was almost surrounded by a steady single light. And I heard what the F from Tana. The light just went off like it was switched. Both Tana and JJ seen it and were asking what the hell was happening. I couldn't talk yet, I just needed to get out of there. They were not sticking around there either. We all knew and felt something was not right there. It was early spring, the smelt were running in the Great Lakes, and there was no fireflies even out yet. In the car, we started talking about it, and they saw a ring around my knees. They're trying to process what they were seeing, and when Tana noticed that I was not moving like in a trance, she then spoke, leaving only a minute or two that they watched what was happening, but that was plenty to realize whatever it was shouldn't have been happening. I wish I could explain what happened, but I only have my opinion. I think the light everyone sees is not one, but many, as they get more and less make the light brighten and dim on the other hill. I'll never go back there. Whatever it was intelligent, and I don't want it to remember me. You have no need to find out what would happen if I was fully covered by them. That was my first experience with strange lights. My second time, a friend and I rode my bike to the boulders by Florence, Arizona. It's a massive boulder field in the middle of the desert. We were laying on top of one, sharing a blunt. As I was passing it, I blinked my eyes and seen a flash of light. Someone snapped a picture of us just feet in front of us. I thought for a minute all the possibilities. When I couldn't explain it, I asked her if she'd seen it. She jumped to her feet and said, "Let's get the F out of here." I stopped a few miles down the road to talk about it. She was not having it at all. She was scared shitless. I believe if we were not together, one of us would have been a missing 411. The same area was on my three-wheeler when I started to get dark. I did not want to be there, especially without a headlight. I was racing the light when I rode off a culvert that I did not see, and I broke my throttle cable. I hid my bike and started booking it to town. As I was walking or jogging, I took note to an airplane with two clear fog lights, no color lights on the tip of each wing. As the lights came out of the fog, I noticed there was nothing connecting them, just lights traveling in sync. They passed 50 feet above me and banged just like a plane would if they wanted to get a look at me. It circled me and went back into the fog. I wish I could explain even just one of those experiences, but I can't. It's a definite possibility that the last two stories were military connected. They do a lot of training in the Big Connolly Creek area. I'd be just fine with never seeing them again, but I would love to know what they were. I never felt very good up by the boulders in Arizona, and I will be just fine if I never go back. My name is Derek. Feel free to hear my story, as I just like everyone else. I just want to know the truth. Love what you're doing and wish you the best. Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Derek. There's a couple typos in there. Made it a little awkward, but we got it done. I don't know shit about lights, all right? Everybody, tons of people have emailed in about the lights. I don't know shit about it myself, but I share it. I share it with all you, as asked. Guarantee you there's people nodding their head. Yeah, I seen the same thing, and I seen it in Arizona, Michigan as well. You'll guarantee us somebody's saying that. But I don't know anything about it myself. I know that lights and these beings go hand in hand, it seems, more often than not, right? There's accounts of scientists watching a Sasquatch-like being climbing out of a light, or what is also was referred to as a portal, right in front of them, broad daylight. There's another account of 2 or 3 scientists that watched numerous beings pouring out of one of these damn lights into the forest and taking off. And I think going back in, and for your average person today, what we're told and the limited knowledge we're given, well, once we hear stories like that, we all shake our head and go, what were they smoking? Yeah, right. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not the one to say this shit's not happening. I'll guarantee you that. Do I need a bright light to come in front of me? No. I've seen bright lights in the sky that were definitely not aircraft in the past at nighttime. And I've seen one silver ball in the sky, broad daylight, in northern British Columbia one time. That's all I've seen when it comes to that. I don't need a craft to come over top of me and scoop me up right now. I'm not into it. If it happens, but I'm not into it. But anyway, this battery's still going. Let me get some more shares out. Alright, let's hear this one. Message preview. Unusual childhood experiences. Hi, Steve. I just heard you read AB's email, which struck a chord. Please don't use my name if you share this. You got it. We lived in a new suburb in Deer Park on Long Island on a 3-acre block shared with 2 other homes. Half the block was wooded. Across the street was a plot of land about 6 acres fenced in. When I was about 5, a family member began abusing me. Oh, that sucks. I'd go to bed at night praying. When it did occur, my spirit of consciousness would leave my body. I found myself outside on my same block and remember seeing hairy giants walking in the streets. They were so big. I would say hello and talk to them. I told them that it was hard to talk to them because they were so big, and then it was as if they dug a deep trench in the road so they would be just big enough for me to look up. One time walking towards us was a squat man of stone. Not friendly but not mean, just interested in us. A squat man of stone. Squatch? These visits with the giants happened when the abuse occurred. I remember begging the giant to take me to the school. They needed me. I now realize the school was heaven. The giant did not want to take me, like it was against the rules. I begged and he reluctantly brought me to the school and left. There are a few more instances where I begged for help and he helped me, still with the feeling he was stepping over his people's rules to help me. During this time, us kids would be sent outside to play. I would hightail it across the street to that wooded area, alone with berries, flowers, trees to climb, and sweetgrass to lay on for a nap. I felt completely safe and free there, and many wondrous things happened. Eventually the abuse stopped. I still feel extreme gratitude for the hairy giant for helping me. I believe he's a Sasquatch. In the spiritual realm, his presence, as well others, was normal. 50 years has not diminished my gratitude, nor the belief he lives on this planet in his own neighborhood. I don't wish to come face to face with one in the real world, so when I'm out walking, I listen to my gut and I'm aware of places to avoid. I get a comfortable feeling of intruding on someone's property or home and leave. Time moved on. At 16, I'd just gone to bed. My room was in the back corner of the house. The family room was next to it, where my brother and friends were hanging out. I'd just fallen asleep, and a loud banging had me frozen in fear. Whatever was banged across the outside wall, moving across, all I heard was boom, 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 boom. When I felt safe enough, I jumped out of bed and ran into the family room to yell at my brother and friends for scaring me. They were confused, so I brought them in my room to explain, and it happened again. Boom, 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 boom. Being young teens, they ran outside to see what it was. They found nothing. There's absolutely something out there. But there was definitely something out there. One other time, I'd just gone to bed and I was immediately frozen in fear. I felt a presence move up my body. As it reached my neck, instead of fear, I got angry and started to fight, yelling and kicking. There's nothing there. It left. We moved from that house soon after. In my early 20s, I visited a friend in Georgia. He wanted to hike Stone Mountain. I was inexperienced but game. There were places with downed trees and odd stacks of limbs. I heard talking and thought it was other hikers, but we were alone. I felt I didn't belong there as we passed through. We stopped at a high point to take in the view, and I was ready to leave. As beautiful as it was, I felt the need to leave. He was disappointed but good-natured, and down we went. I was very glad. Time went on, another odd thing happened, but I tended to blow them off. Looking back, I realized that with work and family, I was oblivious to these experiences. Distracted, I'd say. Now I'm retired and have time to reflect. They definitely exist, and other beings as well. At the present time, knowing the power and skills these beings have, we humans should be teaching our children to develop their natural gifts in order to see and live in the real world. Hit the nail on the head. I think that's all I think about lately. I'd say us sheep have been blinded and the sheepdogs have kept us contained. Money and power are hard to fight. Thank you for this platform. Best regards. Thank you so much for that email. Appreciate it. I'm saddened to hear that childhood memory. You said you're retired, so I'm guessing the chances of that filthy, evil prick still being alive, they gave you those experiences, if they were still alive, I'd say please expose them. Please make their names known and make what they did to you known publicly. It sure is bizarre how many people get hurt by evil, dirty bastards and don't speak up, isn't it? Isn't it crazy? People don't speak up. It's sad. It frustrates me because I just want to hunt down evil bastards all the time and end them. It's just something I want to do. But too many bad experiences, lost too much due to evil, dark sons of bitches. I wonder who the first evil person was. Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird that evil even exists? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. All we have is doom and gloom pumped into us from the mainstream media, non-stop. Non-stop doom and gloom. It's like, what can they come up with tomorrow to outdo yesterday's doom and gloom? Non-stop, defeat all the people, bring us down. It's sad, but anyways, I'm babbling. I gotta get going. I'm spending too much time in the woods alone. Maybe. But thanks for that email share. It's a little confusing to read at first, but I get the picture. I understand what you're sharing. And I wish you nothing but well in the future. For all you other people out there, if anybody's hurting you, tell somebody. Stand on the corner and scream out their name and what they've done or what they're doing. Go find someone who will fight for you and put an end to it, because there are people out there who will stop it. Alright? Don't let people hurt you. And don't be pushed into silence. Alright, let's see, we got another one. It's starting to rain a little hard, but who knows? Alright, what do we got? This one's kind of long, but I think I can do this. Mark it as red. Todd's Creek Encounter, second encounter, 1988, by Jeff Lilly Jr. On a warm spring, my best friend and I, Chris Garrett, were going to Fish Lake, Cohen. I just got married, was working 2 jobs at Marge, Schott, Chevrolet, Geo, and needed a break. As it was the weekend, so I was ready to go. We get to the lake first before anyone and grab a boat and go to the other side of the lake. We pull up some lily pads and something big was down in the reeds banging on the stalks. I say, let's tie on some silver spoons. That'll work. And I go back to the back of the boat and cast my spoon. As I start to say, don't hook me with that spoon, I feel a jerk on my hat and it flies off into the water. As I feel a sharp pain in my upper ear, I raise my hand up to my ear only to feel warm blood in my fingertips. Surely, yes, he did just hook me. I look back over my shoulder and tell Chris, well, start the boat, take me in, I've got to go get this out of my ear somehow. We get to the bait shop and the clerk comes out and says, you're supposed to hook the fish, not each other, and laughs. He says, come on in, we'll get that out of your ear. He grabs a pair of snips and a piece of wood and says, bite on this and don't move. He locks on, we hear a snap, and he slides the spoon out of my ear. Here you go, and hands me what's left of the spoon and a Band-Aid. Well, let's go home, I say to Chris. It's starting to hurt a little bit, and he says, hey, I know, let's go to Todd's Creek. We're close anyway. The white bass are running, and maybe we'll get a muskie. A muskie. The dam here lets out into the creek. I decide, hell with it. We're already out here, so why not let's roll, and I say we're off. We get there about 20 minutes later. A huge farmhouse sat inside the fence line and a barn as well, both solid white. Chris knew the owner and had permission to fish there. We got out, grabbed our gear. There's a 600-yard walk to the creek, down the fence line. Then there's a huge hole in the fence to go back through to the creek. We climb through and wade out in the middle of the creek and start to fish. We're catching one here and one there, but it's quiet. Too quiet for comfort. I just felt off, like we were being watched. As I cast towards a spot, I look up at a rock that seems to be coming straight towards me. But it passes me and lands to the side of me about 10 feet away. Then a huge splash. I look down at Chris and say, you throwing rocks at me, brother? Why would you do that? He says. Why? He says. It would spook the fish. I'm startled at this point. I knew damn well he didn't throw that rock. It came from off the side of the woods, opposite where we came in. I just wanted an excuse for what it was at this point, and that just happened. I fish on, even though in my mind I'm trying to figure out the situation. I get this feeling we shouldn't be here when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a bigger rock splashes right next to me, and the water goes all up in my face. At this point, I'm freaked, totally. I look down at my best friend who has already had his eyes locked onto me. We look deeply at each other and bolt like lightning, trying to get out of the creek as fast as possible. We hit the slope of the bank, soaking wet, and the bank gets slippery fast. We're fighting to get up the bank and out through the fence hole. He's saying, what the hell was that? Jeff, what? He's saying, what the hell was that, Jeff? What just happened? We get out, and through the fence, we're running. Down the fence line towards a truck. It seems so far away. Totally scared to death and panicked. He keeps repeating the same line, what just happened, all the way down the fence line. There's lack of punctuation here, you guys, okay? About halfway at 600-yard run at this point, we hear coon dogs running through the woods, about 8 to 10 of them. We're totally freaked now by dogs. Now dogs are clearly chasing something about where we just were. We get to run even faster. We get to the back of the truck and finally throw the poles in the bed and climb in. Chris pulls the keys out but can't get the key in the ignition. His hands are shaking so bad. I grab them and slide it in and turn the key and the truck starts. I lock the doors, hit the window switch, and lower my window so I can hear the dogs. They're still running. I look to Chris and say, oh, they're still running something. I look to Chris and say, now why would coon dogs be chasing something right where we just were? Something about this whole day is off, bro. And we take off, fish there again after the encounter. We never fish there again after that encounter. 4 Tours Green Beret. What was that? Gave me goosebumps from one end of my frickin' legs to the other.